Right, so welcome to tutorial 3. We're going to look at Phonegap in a little bit more detail than we looked at in tutorial 1. This tutorial split up into 5 parts, and rather than do an hour long of me talking at you, I'm going to try and split the screencasts up into 5 parts. If you remember, the first time we looked at this, I gave you a repeatable procedure that you could use to construct any mobile application that we're going to build using Phonegap. So the first part here is really just me refreshing that procedure. So here in part 1 we've got a new application. The completed form of this application is actually available under GitHub under the user ACESII IMA tutorial 3, which is the thing I hope you're going to build. But if you wanted to look at a completed version of this app, you can go into here and you can see, for example, here's the completed index.js that we're going to be building. So if you want to compare what you're about to construct in the tutorial with a finished version, that's where you can do it. So if you remember, if we wanted to use Phonegap build, we really need our project in this service called GitHub, which is a source code sharing service. So the first step in our repeatable procedure is to set up a GitHub project. Obviously, I've already got a project called IMA tutorial 3. You won't have, so you'll be able to follow this step. I'm going to create a new repository called something slightly different. If I can find the right link. Sorry about that. So here you will say IMA tutorial 3. I'm going to say IMA tutorial 3 2 or -2. Let's call it that. You'll probably just call yours IMA tutorial 3, and I'm going to initialize it with a README. It's public. Create. I get the HTTP URL and I very quickly copy it, and then I go to my public HTML directory. Just bear with me a second. Sorry about that. So I go into my public HTML directory and I type git clone, and then I paste the URL that I've copied. There you go, IMA tutorial 3.2. So there's my IMA tutorial 3.2 directory that's been cloned from GitHub. That's this part. If you remember, the other part of this procedure was to clone the the Phonegap starter project. So we'll just copy that line there, paste it in. Cool. So there's our Phonegap starter project. And then the last part of this, or almost the last part of this, is to copy files from the Phonegap starter project into our project. Oh, sorry. Yeah, my command's slightly different because my project's named something different. Just let me clean that up. Okay. And then what I've suggested that you do is actually add that www directory so that GitHub is actually tracking it. So this is our Git project. I can type Git Status. It says there's an untracked directory called www. I'll type git add www, git commit -a-m added www directory, git push give it my username and password, and it writes the changes. And then if I go back to my GitHub project now, you'll see that I've got the www directory. If you also remember, we were using the public HTML directory. Oh dear, typed localhost wrong. This lets us see the public HTML directory in our home directory as a web server page, basically. So it's that directory served up as a website. And if we go into our new tutorial directory. In the www directory, we get this page. We click on the ripple icon and we say enable, and then we get our application running inside a phone. So this is exactly where we got to last time, and if you remember, we changed some of this HTML, and so it just said hello world. When it comes to creating mobile applications using tools like Phonegap, you've got lots of components that you can choose to pull in, and some of the most obvious ones are jQuery Mobile, which is the one we're going to look at, but also Twitter Bootstrap. If you do a Google search for mobile HTML frameworks or JavaScript frameworks, you'll find a lot of links. They all work in roughly the same way, but as I said, we're going to choose jQuery Mobile. So the second part of this initial screencast is how do we actually set up jQuery Mobile, and I've put these commands here for you. So your first thing to do is, in your project, if you cd into the www directory, you'll see you've got these directories. We've got our index.html, which is what we edited last time. We've got a JavaScript directory, and actually that's the first thing we want to do. We want to go into the JavaScript directory, and we need to download some components. I've put some commands here that will make it really easy for you to download them, so if you just cut and paste them. wget is webget. It basically fetches files from the web, so you can see we've done a wget on the jQuery Mobile file, and if I do an ls here now, you'll see jQuery Mobile. We also need jQuery itself, so that's this second file. So that's jQuery now, and jQuery Mobile gives us some styles as well. So we cd ... which is the parent directory, and then we'll cd into the CSS directory, and then we'll wget the jQuery Mobile CSS files. Okay, so all we've done is to pull some JavaScript and some CSS resources from off the internet into our project, and the final thing we need to do is to actually tell our project that we'd like to use these. So back in the www directory, if you remember, index.html is what we edited last time. We use gedit, so I'm going to say gedit index.html, and here's our index.html. If you remember, we went in and we edited this last time just to say hello world. I've put in the document these links. These are basically asking the index.html file to include those files we've just downloaded. You can see we downloaded 3 files, and there are 3 new lines here. And these go in the head section of our document, just underneath that hello world. If you wanted to, you could update hello world. So this is IMA tutorial 3. So we save that, and then if you want to go back to your project, there it is. Okay, so everything seems to be okay. That should actually say connected to device, but we're not going to worry about that just yet. So what we'll do is, I've said you can view your app in Ripple, which is what we've just done, and then back in our console, we can close the edit window down now. If I type Git Status, you can see we've got these 3 files we've added. We're going to add those as well. Git add, and then I just double click on the middle mouse button to paste. Okay, so Git tells us it's tracking these 3 new files. -a, -m, installed jQuery Mobile. Git push. Okay, so what we've done is we've created a new project, exactly the same as we did in the first tutorial. We've downloaded jQuery Mobile, and then we've told our index.html that we'd like to use jQuery Mobile. I think that's all I'm going to do in this screencast. If you can get to this point, you're set for what we're going to do in this tutorial. So that's the end of this one, and then grab the next tutorial when you're ready.